They call Mars the red planet, but to me, it's just a vast, silent graveyard of dreams. For 600 days, the only sound I've known is the rhythmic hum of my life support system and the whistle of the wind against the habitat walls. I stand here at the edge of the Christ Planitia, watching a sun that looks too small and too cold to ever offer warmth. My oxygen reserves are a cruel countdown, taking away the seconds of my existence. I am the last man on Mars, and soon, I will be part of its dust. It's funny how the silence becomes a physical weight you have to carry every single day. My suit is scarred with the history of my survival, covered in the fine, iron-rich grit that gets into everything. Inside this helmet, the air smells of recycled plastic and stale sweat, a reminder of the technological bubble keeping me alive. I look at my hands, gloved and clumsy, and realize they haven't touched another human being in years. The habitat behind me is a flickering ghost of a home, its lights dimming as the power cells finally give up their ghost. I've spent my life looking at the stars, but from here, Earth is just a tiny, unreachable blue speck. It's time to say what needs to be said before the darkness takes me. The life support panel is a symphony of red warnings, a crimson light show that tells me I have less than an hour of breathable air. The CO2 scrubbers have finally failed, and the air is growing heavy, making every breath feel like a chore. I move toward the communication console, my boots crunching on the metallic floor of the airlock. Every step feels heavier than the last, as if Mars itself is trying to pull me down into its soil. I don't feel fear anymore, just a profound sense of exhaustion and a need for closure. The mission failed, but the message must go through, no matter how futile it seems now. I activate the long-range transmitter, its ancient vacuum tubes glowing with a faint, dying amber light. I pull up a holographic photo of my family, a wife who's probably stopped mourning, and a daughter who likely doesn't remember my face. I start recording, my voice cracking with the weight of 1,000 unspoken words and 1,000,000 regrets. I tell them I'm not afraid, that the stars are beautiful from this close, even if they are indifferent to my fate. I apologize for the distance I chose and the silence I left behind. This is my legacy, a handful of digital bits traveling at the speed of light through the void. I press the initiate button, and the massive satellite dish outside groans as it aligns with a distant blue Earth. The signal bar flickers, struggling to find a path through the solar radiation and the interference of the Martian atmosphere. I watch the progress bar crawl, each percentage point feeling like an eternity of waiting in the cold. I imagine the signal leaping off this dead rock, a tiny spark of human consciousness screaming into the infinite. It's the last thing I will ever do, the final testament of a man who traveled further than anyone else, just to die alone. The silence in the room is deafening as the transmission hits 99%. The screen flashes "Transmission complete," and for a moment, the world is absolutely still. I lean back against the cold bulkhead, closing my eyes and waiting for the final sleep to take me as my oxygen levels hit critical low. But then, a sound breaks the silence, a sound that shouldn't be possible in a vacuum-sealed room on a dead planet. It's a sharp, rhythmic pulse coming from the speakers of the communication console. The static begins to hum, not with the random noise of space, but with a structured, intentional frequency. My eyes snap open, staring at the oscilloscope as the green line begins to dance in patterns I've never seen. Then the voice comes through. Not a human voice, but something that vibrates in the very marrow of my bones. It's melodic, ancient, and layered with sounds that no human throat could ever produce. Yet I understand it perfectly. It doesn't come from Earth. The signal origin is located just a few miles from my current position, beneath the very ground I stand on. It tells me that my message was received, and that the silence I feared was actually a long-awaited sleep. They aren't invaders, and they aren't monsters. They are the keepers of this world, and they have been waiting for someone to knock. The air in my suit feels suddenly light, as if the planet itself is breathing for me. I look out the portal and see the horizon transforming as massive crystalline structures rise silently from the red sands. They shimmer with an inner light, casting long, ethereal shadows across the dunes that have hidden them for eons. The dust storm clears instantly, as if brushed away by an invisible hand, revealing a city of light buried beneath the rust. I realized then that we were never looking at a dead planet, but a dormant one, waiting for a catalyst to wake up. My sensors show the atmospheric pressure is rising and the oxygen content is spiking. Mars is terraforming itself in response to my final cry. I am no longer a dying man in a graveyard. I am a witness to a rebirth. I step out of the airlock without my helmet, the air tasting of ozone and ancient rain, sweet and cold against my skin. A small, floating orb of light drifts toward me, pulsing with a friendly, inquisitive warmth that feels like a physical embrace. I reach out my hand, and the fear that has defined my life for the last 2 years simply evaporates into the thin Martian air. I came here to die in the name of science, but I have found a reason to live in the name of something much greater. The transmission I sent to Earth wasn't a goodbye. It was an invitation to a new beginning for all of us. I am not alone, and we have so much to learn from our neighbors in the dark. Sometimes the end is just a hidden doorway to a beginning we never dared to imagine. Space is vast and often terrifying, but it is never truly empty if we are brave enough to reach out and speak. If you ever feel alone in the dark, remember that someone might be listening, waiting for the right moment to answer. This has been the last transmission from the old Mars and the first chapter of the new one. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. What would you say if the universe finally answered back? Stay curious, explorers.